Welcome to ARTv. I'm your host, Morgan Ray. On today's episode, we're unveiling the full spectrum of perception. Not everything we see is the truth. First off, we have Dino Damiani, who for the majority of his life was linked to one side of his family heritage, and by following the other, less traveled path, became an artist. Next on the show is Miranda Smith, who was born in Australia, raised in Hong Kong, and is now back in Melbourne and paints with light using her cultural flip to fuel her work. Next is Diego Ramirez, who joins us from Mexico and is now living in Melbourne as an artist who uses supernatural semantics to push the boundaries with devils and monsters and other creatures. Later in the show, Tony Bové joins us to finish off his segment on the symbols. Dino Damiani is a prolific Melbourne-based PoP Indigenous artist who started painting a few years ago and has already sold over 70 of his paintings. Welcome to the program, Dino.
Hi Morgan, how are you?
Nice to have you.
Thank you.
So you have such an interesting story. For the majority of your life, you were kind of guided to associate with one side of your bloodline. And through your connection with your mother's side, the Indigenous side, it connected you to your artistic side, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
What was that like? How did that feel when you reconnected with the side of you?
I've always known that my mum had Aboriginal roots. I also know that my mum was not encouraged to know her history or to look into it any further. Had an opportunity to attend a men's Aboriginal camp in my where my mum's mob is from, in that area in Gippsland, and certain things happened. Whether I wanted them to or not, there was a spiritual connection that I gained that I just could not. I couldn't fight it. I love painting. I love the way it makes me feel when I'm connected.
Can you expand upon that?
Yeah, I start painting and then I get in this zone. It's like I'm possessed by the stick. And then I realise that I've been painting for 6 hours. But that 6 hours is of absolute bliss, And what I do with my paintings is, when I finish them, or no, even as I'm painting them, I get sections of them done and I walk away from the painting, and then I turn back and I look at it again. I can't believe that I've done that. But it takes me to be in that zone. If I'm not in that zone and I force it, it's not meant to be, so I put it down again.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you've started about 6 years ago. You've been quite active in the St Kilda arts community.
Yeah, I have. It's been great. I've been painting about 6 months, and I had this photo on my phone. I don't know where. I just saved it somewhere, and so there was a picture of Auntie May and her pet on our kitchen table, and I thought, geez, that'd be great if I could paint that one day. And it was probably, the next 3 or 4 months after that I did. I've been in about 6 exhibitions thus far, and I'm so glad now, in hindsight, that I didn't sell it.
So it's the one that you've held on to?
Yeah, I won't sell it. I'm marketed as a PoP Indigenous Artist, and
can you explain what that is for those of us that might know?
So I like to achieve effect by contrast. So I use a lot of pearls and metallic colours, which pop against each other. So I walk away from the painting, probably about 20 foot, then I look back, and if it pops off the canvas, I've done exactly what I wanted to do. And that's what I try to create.
And it sounds like it's been working quite well for you.
It has been working well.
So we've got a lovely piece playing behind us. What is the story behind this?
I started it in 2017. What I wanted was to acknowledge the contribution of Aboriginal footballers to the AFL. We look at the news and the sporting headlines and the commonality. What we see is the absolute brilliance of Aboriginal players in the AFL. I mean, if we took them out, a lot of those champions wouldn't be there, you know. So what I've done there is I've painted the Sir Doug Nicholls round, which is a gentleman who played for Carlton, Sir Doug Nicholls, and was acknowledged by Sir Doug Nicholls. So it's 18 paintings in one, and I've painted my representation of their Indigenous Guernseys in the centre. I barracked for Melbourne Football Club myself, the Demons, the mighty red and the blue there on the left.
Which are your favourite colours, you're saying?
That is my favourite colours, yeah, red and blue.
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your world with us.
Thanks for having me.
We hope to see it with the AFL.
That'd be great.
Thanks so much, Dino.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Morgan. Bye.
Miranda Smith is an artist working across lighting, painting, photography, and sculpture, drawing on effect theory, philosophy, and biology as stimulus for conceptual development and production. Smith aims to involve the viewer in questioning their own experience of her work. Welcome to the show, Miranda.
Thanks for having me.
So last year you were in Hong Kong, and you had your first solo exhibition, and now you're in Australia.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what happened with that journey?
Yeah, I actually wasn't meant to be in my hometown of Hong Kong for all of last year, but with everything that happened, I ended up being there for a whole year, and was lucky enough to have quite a few shows. I had my first solo with South Korean Gallery Jeeum, and started a really great collaboration with them. And then I returned to Australia this year to continue and do my honours year at RMIT University and exhibit as well.
Wonderful. And you were originally born here, but grew up in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Wow. So how has that been for your art and your perception of being an artist?
Yeah, I think it's really great because I've been lucky enough to experience and learn from both of the art worlds and get to see the exciting sides of both Australian and Hong Kong art. And, you know, I got to grow up going to the art fairs in Hong Kong and seeing all the shows there. And yeah, and I think both kind of cultures and philosophies definitely emerge in my work. Yeah.
And can you tell us a bit more about your art? Now you've worked in light, photography, sculpture.
Yeah, so I work with light installation, a lot of abstract photography as well. And what I really love about light installation is the perceptual side of it. You know, light is just such an exciting medium, and there's so much to it because we have such a biological relationship with light. And on a scientific level, we don't really understand light all that much. So I think that there's a lot of knowledge that we can gain from experience with it. So I really enjoy doing that.
Oh, it's stunning. I mean, you see from behind us 2 examples of your work. How did you discover painting with light?
Yeah, I started painting when I was 1, and I was always obsessed with painting people, you know, acrylic oils. I just loved portraits. And I just one day looked at light art. I think it was the work of James Turrell, and I started thinking about light, and I just started noticing it everywhere. And I became quite obsessed with light. You know, I'd be eating breakfast and I'd watch light filter through this glass onto the table, and I just realized that I could paint with it, and I haven't stopped since. That was in 2019.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's relatively new, but I love it. I really, really love it.
Now, speaking of exhibitions, with painting with light, how do you showcase this work? What form is it shown in?
Yeah, so it can be public installation, or it can be installation within a gallery, or I can project it onto a singular wall and sort of have it appear like a painting would on a singular wall of a gallery. It's quite adaptable, I can do a lot with it. I don't really see there being many boundaries with it.
Great. And on the business side of things, now if somebody was to purchase your work, what form is it typically in? Like, do they hire you to do an installation in their home, or what's been the past for you?
So in the past, people have bought my light fixtures, some of which you can see in the background there, and they can bring it home and the lights will adapt to any space that they put it in. So currently I have 2 lights that are in people's living rooms, and they can move it around, and even if they just move the lights around a little bit in terms of the angle of which it hits the wall, they get a little bit of a different image each time. So yeah, so it projects up onto their walls and they can move it around, and it's a very adaptable piece. And within this one light, you can have so many compositions, which I love.
That's incredible. That's how fun. I want one of those in my home. And you have a few exhibitions coming up.
Yes.
You have one on Off the Curb, correct? And that is launching on the 29th of April.
29th till the 13th of May. I'm very excited about that. That's a installation called In Silhouette, and that's all about shadow. So the viewer's shadow becomes the artwork. And so their movement within the space forms the compositions and the colors. And if many people are in this space, all of their shadows intersect and mix. And there's a lot of quite unusual, colorful phenomena that happens within it.
Oh, wow. What words of advice would you give to someone like you starting out in the art world?
Yeah. I think it's really important to know what makes your art special and what you think why people should be interested in it. Because there are so many amazing artists and so many cool ideas out there. So to really have a think about what makes your work special and what you can bring to the table, and why would a gallery want to work with you. So in your proposals, if you're in a proposal writing stage, make sure you show what's interesting and unique about your work and what niche you fill.
So you have an installation for the city of Melbourne as well.
Yes.
That sounds incredible.
Thank you. It's my first public installation with Creative Spaces, which is a program of the city of Melbourne. So it's going to be the largest installation I've done yet.
Oh, wow.
So I'm very excited. It's open 24 hours a day on Sturt Street in South Bank. And what's really exciting about this installation is that it's just in constant flux. So the idea behind it is it's in a street where a lot of people would pass by to and from work. So I love the idea that someone walks by, they're sipping on their flat white in the morning, and they don't really see much of a composition on the wall. It's quite light pastels, but they'll pass by when it's cloudy, or they'll come by when it's dark when they're leaving for work, and all of a sudden there's this really vibrant installation on the wall and this composition of saturated colors and forms that they didn't see before. And one of the things that happens with these pieces is I like to play with perception a lot and the fallacies within our perception. So sort of the longer you spend with these works, the more they start to change. And so on several levels, my works are constantly changing before your eyes.
Oh, it's much like getting to know someone, right?
Yeah.
That's incredible. So that's May 4th through June 3rd, correct? And how did you land this project?
I saw the call out for it on social media, and I decided to put together a proposal. And I'd been mulling on this idea for quite a while of a public installation, and put together my proposal and sent it in. And that was back in December, and I've been working on it ever since.
Oh, incredible. So you've got a lot of incredible works ahead of us. We look forward to seeing those and so much more from you, especially as you're graduating in when?
Yeah, I'm graduating December of 2021, and I'm very excited. I just secured my first project for early 2022 as well. So
great.
There's things happening.
Yeah, it really sounds like it. And lovely to hear all about what's going on. And people can find you on Instagram.
Yes, at Miranda Smith Art.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, Miranda.
Thank you for having me.
Diego Ramirez is an artist, writer, and arts worker. His practice employs a variety of mediums ranging from video to performance and signage to unpack representations of otherness. Welcome to the show, Diego.
Hello.
Thanks for coming. And you join us from, well, all the way from Mexico. You were born in Guadalajara. You're now in Melbourne. Where have you recently, actually, you've exhibited and showcased a lot of work. You have quite a resume. What's one of your most favorite exhibitions that you've done?
I will say actually it's always the last one. So the one that is currently showing right now at Mars, where I'm dressed as a little red devil, which is inspired by a memory of my childhood, where I used to dress as the devil. And it's actually one of my fondest experiences in life. And I don't mean it as an overstatement. I'm very, very, very fond of that memory.
Wow. Can you explain a bit more of that?
It just is, yeah. Like, it just has been quite I wouldn't say a defining experience, but it has really shaped a lot of my predilections for the things that I'm interested in and the way that I exist in life, I guess. Yeah.
And your work kind of revolves a bit around monsters and a bit of the supernatural semantics. Can you speak more about what that means?
So I am post-Catholic, which means that I don't believe in anything, but I'm heavily engaged with the Judeo-Christian imagination. So at least as far as my work goes, I tend to gravitate towards things that help us reflect on how we use images to divide ourselves from others, so people from other places, different beliefs. So I have a strong commitment to those kind of images.
Right, and I remember reading something about this video that was then translated and with Santa Claus, correct?
Yes. So there's this movie called Santa Claus versus the Devil, and so a big part of the wardrobe was based on the figure of the devil in that movie. And so while I was rewatching it, because I used to showcase it quite often when I was a kid, I realized that they dubbed Santa with an English accent, but they left the Mexican accent of the devil. So that really speaks to kind of how we often use the Gothic imagination to push some people outside of what we consider to be our homes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you do a lot of different things. You manage a gallery, you're a writer, you are showcased in the Mars Gallery. What are you currently working on that you're most excited about?
Well, so I am doing some writing. I just finished a piece on the role of sound in apparitions of the Virgin Mary. I wrote some catalog essays. One of them is for an artist in Sydney called Nadia Hernandez, who is from Venezuela. And I'm working towards a show at Spring with Mars, and also a solo show in November.
Wow, great. So in one of your past exhibitions at the Mars Gallery, you worked with light. Can you tell us about this installation?
Yes, so it was a show about vampires. One of the centerpieces was a coffin made to my measurements, which was actually a light box with an inverted cross on top. And so the idea is that with the vampire, even though they're really, really ancient and nomadic, their tomb always ties them to a place. And there was also other kind of light pieces referencing movies, but I think the coffin is like the most memorable.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And the work that's shown behind us, that's part of the April Fool's exhibition, they're photographs of you, but you've done a lot of research behind it. And that's a strong part of your work, correct?
Yeah. So, for example, with that photo, something I couldn't understand is why is the devil wearing puffy shorts? You know, it's like... But it goes back to the medieval jester in the court. And there's this really complex idea of how having a trickster figure that creates kind of like mayhem actually helps to maintain order. And that's what that's the role that the devil plays. So you need someone messing things up to keep everything aligned.
Someone was just telling that to me yesterday.
Well,
They're like,
true.
somebody's got to play this role.
Exactly,
So.
yeah.
And you will be at the Mars Gallery coming up for the Art Start panel and speaking to people that want to start their own art collection.
Yeah, so art collectors have a very important role to play that they often don't fulfill, because it is their responsibility to help shape careers of younger artists. And they have to do that by exercising their own taste and preferences for themes, contents, and style. But they need to be more proactive in doing that. And it's actually quite exciting because they also become leaders in their field by supporting younger artists. So that's kind of what I'm going to talk about.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
And for someone that would like to get involved, one, come to your panel, but is there any other tip that you could provide an aspiring collector?
Well, they should go to artist-run spaces because they're exactly the same exactly the same artists that end up showing in galleries and museums, and that's when they are more accessible, when the money means the most to them, and when they're actually creating a huge difference in their career.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so go to artist-run spaces.
Artist-run spaces, okay. And one of them is the Mars Gallery. Is there another one that you can note?
Well, Mars is a commercial space.
Okay.
So that's a commercial gallery. I manage 7th Gallery, but there's also Blindside, King's Harry, TCB. So there's a lot of them they can go to. And a really good trick is if you go to a gallery and ask them where to go next, they will tell you.
Oh, so you could go on your own art tour by just starting at one gallery and asking for recommendations.
Yeah, it's like, it's snowballs.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So people can find you at the Mars Gallery and on your socials?
Yes, at Diego is Monster.
Great.
Yeah.
And so we look forward to your solo show in November and to seeing you at Mars. Is there anything else that you'd like to share?
No, thanks, Morgan. That's fantastic.
Symbols may not be at the front of our thoughts that often, but they have been a definitive source of communication since early mankind. Often, the association with a symbol was all early man needed. A sign representing an idea or an object was all it took to communicate. So it makes sense that symbols became a part of our universal language. Given the ancients' respect and values placed on the planets, it is not surprising that symbols were created to represent what were considered the heavenly bodies within the universe. From the confidence of Jupiter to the beauty of Venus, each planet has been given its own symbolic meaning. The fact that the ancients introduced astrology symbols as part of our universal language so many years ago makes perfect sense. The amount of respect given to the stars since man first arrived has never been and will never be equal. Astrology symbols represent a variety of characteristics and influences from each of the signs. From the confidence of the Aries ram to the balance of Libra's scales, each sign has its own symbol for a purpose. The symbol for Aries is the ram. The ram as a symbol represents the horns of a ram. It signifies a head-on approach to life, and the ram reflects leadership, confidence, drive, and courage. The symbol for Taurus is the bull. The bull as a symbol represents the head and the horns of a bull. It signifies a sturdy approach to life. The bull reflects strength, power, stamina, and resolution. The symbol for Gemini is the twins. The twins as a symbol shows two lines joined together. The twins reflect intellect, creativity, interaction, adaptability, and liberty. The symbol for Cancer is the crab. The crab as a symbol represents self-preservation. The crab reflects complexity, sensitivity, support, durability, and emotion. The symbol for Leo is the lion. The lion as a symbol represents the mane of the lion. The lion reflects leadership, nobility, strength, courage, and pride. The symbol for Virgo is the virgin. The virgin as a symbol represents the sexual organs with an inward tail closing off entry. The virgin reflects practicality, perfectionism, truth, dignity, and and composure. The symbol for Libra is the scales. The scales as a symbol represents a setting sun balanced between night and day. And the scales reflect harmony, partnerships, fairness, popularity and beauty. The symbol for Scorpio is the scorpion. The scorpion as a symbol represents the male sexual organs with an upturned tail striving for a higher calling to action. And the scorpion reflects intensity, inspiration, assertiveness and purpose. The symbol for Sagittarius is the archer. The arrow as a symbol represents the drawn arrow of the archer. The arrow reflects bravery, direction, focus, poise and thought. The symbol for Capricorn is the goat. The goat as a symbol represents the beard of the goat, as in the V, and the tail of a fish. The goat reflects leadership, practicality, patience, truth and pride. The symbol for Aquarius is the water bearer, and the water bearer reflects freshness, equality, vision, freedom and individuality. The symbol for Pisces is the two fish, and the fish reflect unity, mysticism, understanding, honesty and emotion. Some symbols are so ancient, it's not quite fully understood just how they evolved. But what we can be certain of, however, is that they have been a definitive source of communication for thousands of years.
Tony, there was such an informative segment on the ancient symbols. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. That's the last one on the symbols, so I'm not sure where I'll go from here, but I'll keep you in the loop as I progress through and get my business sorted out.
And how's your Instagram coming along?
Well, I am lagging there, but that is very much a priority for my marketing, so I'll be getting onto that because I've noticed a lot of the young artists do use it and it's been quite successful for funding.
That's correct. Sure, we love hearing about your journey as an artist.
Well, I actually loved hearing about Dino's journey and his Indigenous work. It is a bit of a favourite. Oh, brilliant, I loved it. And all the best with the AFL for Dino.
Oh, very much so. And also having Diego and Miranda giving such great advice for those starting out and how to see the career path and even how to get funding to do the projects that they want to do.
Well, it's business of the arts, and we started looking into this even during COVID with getting advice as to how people got started, and it was really quite helpful for some of the younger artists.
And again, Instagram has been a way for people to get funded. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, that's about it for this week. If you'd like to get in touch with us, send us an email at ideas@studioemedia.com.au. Thanks for watching.
See you next time.